Most votes in Angola's parliamentary elections have been counted. Provisional results show that the ruling MPLA Party is ahead with a 52% majority, while the main opposition rivals have 42%. There is more in this report.
The Angola Election Commission has said that 86% of ballots have so far been counted, which suggests that former Marxist People Movement for the Liberation of Angola is likely to extend its near 5-decade stint in power, giving President João Lourenço a second 5-year term. The opposition party, which is the National Union of the Total Independence of Angola, led by Adalberto Costa Jr., did not immediately respond. The CNE said UNITA received 33.85%. However, UNITA said the initial count was not reliable. Since independence from Portugal in 1975, Angola has been run by the MPLA, the party which has been led since 2017 by President João. The nation has not witnessed an election as contested as this one. According to an Afrobarometer study, UNITA's shares increased from 13% in 2019 to 22% in May. Even if the MPLA is currently ahead by 7 points, over half of the electorate was divided. 60% of the population of Southern Africa is under the age of 25, and many of them were casting their first votes. The call to the polls for this general election has had an effect, especially in Luanda, where some of the busiest avenues have been deserted throughout the day, now waiting in Angola for the first official result to be announced.
Joining me on the news to discuss the elections in Angola is a writing fellow at Africa Liberty, Jeremiah Enoch. Thank you so much for joining me on World Now. What issues are there that you think, what issues are there that you think would shape the outcome of this poll?
Well, I think first of all is if the result comes out and then MPLA or in any way, MPLA is currently leading, but if, for instance, UNITA pulls a surprise and wins, and then MPLA refuses to acknowledge the result, there is the likelihood of violence erupting post-election. But that doesn't seem likely now. The projections from previous days have been that MPLA will win, but with a slight margin, and that's what we're currently seeing.
Well, the protracted civil war that immediately began after Angola became independent from Portugal in November 1975 was followed by 20 years of peace. And since then, have the people been able to get the gains they hope for?
Well, not really, because Angola is arguably one of the most unequal societies in the world, one of the unequal countries in the world. While there has been peace, there hasn't really been a spread of economic development for the people of Angola. And that's one of the reasons that why this election is this tightly contested, because they say, okay, we've gotten peace, but what next? What's beyond peace? We need peace. We also need economic prosperity, social stability, social progression. And that hasn't really been the case for Angola.
Well, looking at both candidates, they are sexagenarian, and the MPLA has been in charge for more than 4 decades, but UNITA's Adalberto is strongly looking to give them a run for their money. Would it be hard to imagine that the incumbent could lose its place at the pinnacle of power?
Well, there are some variations to this. Adalberto is one of a kind. His rise is somewhat new in the sense that he doesn't have the baggage of being a former, say, rebel leader or a fighter, freedom fighter, or what have you. He comes up as someone who doesn't have that history, although his father has that past. And so that's why there's an acceptance from Adalberto, mostly from the young people. But the issue here is that he can pull off something, but maybe not this time, because the current situation is showing that in 2008, MPLA had about 80% of the votes. In 2012, that reduced to about 70%. In 2017, it reduced to about 60%. And now we're seeing it at about 70%. Now we're seeing it about 60%. So UNITA has been growing its popularity. And even if they lose this time, it is very likely that in 2027, they can pull off a major upset and take over power in Angola.
We'll see what will definitely be announced at the end of the day, for the next 5-year 5-year, for the next term, actually. Thank you very kindly. Writing fellow at Liberty, African Liberty, Jeremiah Enoch. Thank you so much for our insights.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.